Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com with match number 4. Apologize that we're into turn number 2 here. Computer crashed, so we're back online. The first turn, basically Inquisition and Mana Leak. He also has a remand. The knowledge that we have, he has a remand in hand and a lightning bolt and 2 lands. So he did mulligan down, and that's information that we do have. So there is one unknown card in hand. So I'm just going to go ahead and Inquisition again. And see what is lurking. So he drew a Terminate. So we're just going to go ahead and take the remand because I don't care about a Lightning Bolt or a Terminate. So we'll go ahead and play the Eldrazi Temple and then an Expedition map. And so far he's got no counter magic nor card draw, just the Lightning Bolt and Terminate that we know about, and a land and one unknown. So this is looking pretty good for us. We can cast the Wasteland Strangler. He can only take a Wasteland Strangler here, so I don't care too much about that. So he drew an Inquisition. This is going to give us a turn. We'll go and grab, with our Expedition map, we go and grab a Eye of Ugin, I believe. Eye of Ugin. And we're close to actually casting the Sower. So no decision here. He can only take a Strangler. And definitely up to whoever's got the best top decks at this point. I could actually go get another Eldrazi Temple. I think the Ugin's better. And we'll pass the turn here. So this makes our endless ones. We could have a 5/5 endless one if we draw into endless ones. He does not draw a land nor anything he can cast. This is a decent draw. I don't think we go for like a Wasteland Strangler or... Well, because he could just terminate a Blight Herder, so I think that the best line of play is just to Mind Stone here. This allows us to get the Oblivion Sower. And what's cool about the Oblivion Sower is it's off of a cast ability. So if he does decide to counter it, the Sower still does get value, and it can exile some cards to then enable the Blight Herder. So we're in great shape. There's a Ghost Quarter. I think that we will go ahead and utilize everything but the Ghost Quarter. Set 6 mana for the Oblivion Sower, which, yes, can still be countered, but it's going to get value. Ooh, I think that's a terrible line of play to remand, because we get value out of it next turn. We actually get a Mutavault, and then we get an Aether Vial and a Spell Pierce. Vial, huh? What are the vials in here for? I don't know if this is going to be a Tasigur route, if there's Vial. Could be like a Young Pyromancer, like Delver into Young Pyromancer, Snapcaster Mage. I haven't seen a Vial in a deck like this in a long time. Maybe well, Ghost Quarter I guess wouldn't exile the land. I was saying maybe I should have Ghost Quartered in response, but the Sower only gets X cards from exile. But next turn we can go ahead and cast. So we actually have 2 more mana, 2, 3, 4, 4. Can't cast a Blight Herder quite yet. But just lots of value here. And at this point, I'm not really afraid of anything unless this is Grixis twin, which I don't think it is. The Mutavaults are also kind of an interesting addition. Ulamog, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can't quite Ulamog. It's just going to be another processor. So 1, 2. Let's go 3, 4 for another. Keep the Mutavault and the Ghost Quarter up for the Oblivion Sower. See if we can get some more value. This is what's cool about without having any exile cards, though, is we could actually see what we got here. Nothing, so least we have a 5/8. It's going to get terminated, though. And we can still Blight Herder, though. Which I think we will do. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we can't quite Blight Herder. We need the Sower to actually hit. So we'll just pass the turn. And I'm sure he'll terminate the Oblivion Sower. It's dead. Inquisition hits the Wasteland Strangler. And he sees an Ulamog. Still don't have much action here. The Relic of Progenitus, this would have been nice with the Oblivion Sower. I think it's just going to be Blight Herder. Maybe I want to exile the graveyard in case there's a Snapcaster still in our opponent's graveyard. And that gives us protection from the Snapcaster. And then that's 1, 2. I believe we'll just throw out the Mutavault here. And then cast the Blight Herder. And that's on cast as well. Okay, so yes, this even if he counters this, we should get some. Let's give him back Aether Vials. Those are really bad at this point. And then pass the turn to our opponent. Might end up just using the Relic of Progenitus to exile all graveyards at this point to try to draw into another land. And I think that's fine. And he didn't have a Snapcaster. Okay. So he's going to Snapcaster. Snapcaster, the only thing you can Snapcaster is the Terminate, which at this point terminates a Blight Herder, not the worst thing that can happen. Got a Snapcaster out of his hand too for further down the road. And we found another Ghost Quarter. So getting close to the Ulamog. There's another Relic. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not quite there. Again, I think that we just chuck out a... you can activate the Mutavault. We could Ghost Quarter it down. We'll just get in with another Herder and give him back 2 Aether Vials. And we can still just safely Relic. Here I'll use a Ghost Quarter. And oh, I can use the Eldrazi Spawn to get Ulamog off. Can always forget these things can sacrifice. That is fine. We will just pass the turn to our opponent. No pressure. I think we're just so far ahead at this point. Gonna go ahead and exile Graveyards again just so I can draw a card. And there's our Swamp. We can just hardcast Ulamog. There's also a Strangler. We will go ahead and get rid of the Mutavault as well as the Steam Vent, sure. And that is going to be enough for the concession. So the Vials are in here for definitely Snapcasters. Not quite sure if Young Pyromancer's in here to try to cheat in. If that were the case, then Ratchet Bomb would be good. We can put a Needle on the Vial. I'm not quite sure we need Slaughter Pact or Dismember. Could be some sort of twin build that just tries to cheat it in that way. I think Duress is fine here. I'm not going to put it in the Ruin Processor. The more and more I play these Mind Stones, I don't like them. I know that they act as the 24th and 25th land, with Expedition maps also playing that role. Do we need it all as dust? I think that we'll play one just in case. The Endless ones still seem good. The Void Winnower and the Ulamog. I'm trying to think what would be the best. All of the Exile is wonderful, but I think it actually is going to be all as dust isn't necessary. And the Mind Stones. And we'll submit this. I think we have a pretty decent line of play against our opponent. I don't think that we can keep this hand. We need one more land to, and the bog comes into play tap. So I'm gonna ship it back, and we'll keep this. This is actually a very powerful card, or very powerful starting hand. We have Inquisition. We have a Relic. I think we keep the Urborg Tomb Yawgmoth. And we can just start off with I think just a basic swamp. I don't want to give him double black for whatever reason at this point. And we'll Inquisition him. Confidant, Lightning Bolt, Remand. We'll take a Confidant. So he's using a Vial for Dark Confidant to cheat those into play as well. Just that if he's going to be drawing enough cards that the Vial can gain him a ton of card advantage. So I think we need to Relic here. It's too bad there's no fetch lands. We'll definitely need Eldrazi Temple and Relic. Get rid of the Dark Confidant. But we definitely need him to put another card in the graveyard. So hopefully he gets a Go for the Throat, which destroys a monocolored creature. Is that what Go for the Throat does? So it misses everything in our deck? Oh, target non-artifact creature. I'm thinking ultimate price. So Inquisitions, which does nothing. It misses. And it gives me... He can remand the Blight Herder, but that's just not good. So, yeah, that is excellent. It puts another card in the graveyard for our Relic to get rid of, as well as allow us to cast the Blight Herder next turn. So you can get in with the Dark Confidant. I don't care for he remands. Inquisition is also not the greatest card versus us because it just misses on so many cards. Can't quite cast the Oblivion. But we can get the Blight Herder. So Inquisition gone. And he can ultimate price this, but it gives us at least some Eldrazi's. Scions. Yeah, there's no way he remands this. And he'll have to use his black mana source next turn. Finds a mountain. So you can play the mountain. He's got a lightning bolt. They can bolt off if he so chooses. Well, the Ghost Quarter can at least allow us to get with this Sower, we could get a Dark Six Shard, but I think that we just cast the Sower anyway. Maybe off the Dark Six. Oh yeah, I'm gonna actually do this. We're gonna get us another land. He does have a basic swamp, so he's playing around Blood Moon with the basics. Oh, but it goes away, so I can attack in with the Herder. He's not going to block with a Confidant. But he is going to go for the Throat It. Which, 1, 2, 3, I still think that... Let's give him the option to try to get rid of the Darkslick Shores here. I'm hoping he does. Oh, that is beautiful. That was the perfect... Because now we're going to... Oblivion Sower. And at least get a land off this. Does come into play tap, though. And he'll remand it, which, again, this is off the cast ability. So I'm glad to cast it again next turn. Gets us a polluted delta. We can actually use that. And we could easily just exile with the Relic. Does this give it back to him? I think it does. Yeah, when it dies, it goes to his graveyard. So I think we'll just go ahead and do this. And now next turn we can get another polluted delta back. So pretty sweet interaction. Finds Aether Vial. Again, at this point, they're quite weak. Throws out a Steam Vents. He does have a lot of unknown cards in hand. 4 cards. The Confidant's doing a great job. Keep him up. But I think we will, yeah, we will exile the graveyards. And we get another Relic, so that's fine. And once again, that means we are going to be getting some lands off of the Sower. At least one. We actually find 2. I'm going to go ahead and sack this one. The Scalding Tarn can't get anything. This thins out our deck. And then we'll Strangle, because we do have plenty of things to... Now this one does have to enter the battlefield to kill off the Dark Confidant. And give him back a Vial. And we can even throw out a Relic and attack in with the Scions. And our opponent is down to a 15. Staring down a 5-8, a 3-2. Decides to widen bolt off the Strangler. I could care less at this point. We have a pretty good board position. I mean, actually, it's still anyone's game. I can draw a card off the Relic. Just going to eat away his graveyard. I think he's not going to put the polluted delta back now. Yeah, just puts a Vial back. And we find another swamp. At this point, I don't think the Relic is necessary. We'll just cycle it away and use the Expedition map. And go get an Eldrazi, an Eye of Ugin. Play the Eye of Ugin. And I am going to go ahead and tack in with everything. And we have 7 mana. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, we don't. And he doesn't have anything in his hand. So didn't get to see much of his deck, but it was kind of cool with the interactions with X on their graveyard, just the advantage that the processors can get. So far, we haven't seen any processors spoiled out of, I don't believe, out of the new set. Hopefully they keep that mechanic running with Oath of the Gatewatch. So interesting deck. I had fun with it. Yeah, we did get blown out by a Death and Taxes deck. We'll go on to the wrap up and talk about it. This is Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching. Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com with a wrap up video for this week's Playing on Budget with the Modern Eldrazi. Thought the deck was very, very fun to play, and does have some room for improvement, I think, or at least for innovation. I was thinking about cards like Sire Stagnation, being a 7 mana and only 2 of it requiring colorless mana. Definitely being an option for this deck. Or 6 mana, actually, yeah. So with this, you'd have to probably run Polluted Deltas, so it wouldn't be back on budget. And that'd probably also require getting rid of like Mind Stone, and then going into some fetch lands and some of these swamps being utilized for probably no basic lands, maybe just a few swamps, maybe 2 or 3 swamps, and then like some Darkslick Shores, or just Polluted Deltas to go get watery graves. And that allows you for Sire Stagnation, which can be tutored up with the Eye of Ugin. And it can also be cheated in with the Eldrazi Temple. And I don't think it would be even that much harder after like a turn after like the Oblivion Sower to realistically be able to cast a Sire Stagnation, especially since most decks are blue. In Modern, you could find a blue land from the Sower from your opponent. So I think that's an interesting card. I think that there might be some old cards like Artisan of Kozilek, I was thinking might be a decent card. I think it's a 9-drop Eldrazi that brings back there's It That Betrays as well. There's a lot of Eldrazi's from the previous set that they could be tutored up or cast. We have the 8-drop, the Ulamog's Crusher, that might not be bad in this deck. It swings once in Modern, and it's pretty much going to get there. So the good thing I like about Sire Stagnation is if you can get out very quickly and they play a fetch land, you draw 4, and then crack the fetch lands, you're going to be able to draw 4 cards. So, and they exile cards off the top of their library, which is more fuel for your other subsequent processors. So definitely think about Sire Stagnation. Going into blue gives some other options for like counter magic. Not quite sure if this deck wants it, but and there also is some blue Eldrazi's that I'm sure it's just a matter of time. The only reason for black right now in this deck is the Inquisitions and the Wasteland Stranglers. The blue Eldrazi's have a little more aggression. They've got the 2/1 flyer that also puts out an Eldrazi spawn. There is the one that can tap down a creature. I believe it only brings in 1 Eldrazi spawn, but you can sacrifice a Eldrazi sign to tap down a creature for 6 mana. Doesn't seem that bad. 6 seem to be pretty easy to get out. I think there's a lot of options trying to utilize this Eldrazi Temple. Then we could even go into red, and the new Scour the Sands and the Void land out of, or the destroy target non-basic land or exile target non-basic land out of with the Void is a very interesting card to be putting in this. And then we also, I don't think you would go into like a Blood Moon type strategy, but red adds cards like Lightning Bolt for that early removal. And there are plenty of cards I think would go quite well out of red into a mono red Eldrazi list. So at this point, black, green also, especially with the new set coming out with Oath of the Gatewatch, you get a 7-drop that can exile like an Acidic Slime type ability hooked up to a Eldrazi, and you can go into either green, black, or any color combination of those. So Eldrazi Temple is just incredibly strong with these earlier Eldrazi's. When they printed this in the old set, the old Zendikar set, most Eldrazi's were very expensive because it said had 2 colorless mana only on colorless Eldrazi. So there were some Eldrazi here and there, like Nest Invader, I believe is an Eldrazi, like some cheaper ones that put out Eldrazi Scions, and you could not actually ramp them with the Eldrazi Temple. Now with all these Devoid cards that came out of both are coming out of both of the Gatewatch and came out of Battle for Zendikar, it makes Eldrazi Temple so much better. So I might experiment around with like a red deck, a blue deck, and a green deck to see how well. Of course, white is not an option because there are no Eldrazi in the white color. And then we can also mess with other cards. This is going to be something that I think is going to get pretty fun after the next set comes out. The one thing that also, the black that I guess I didn't mention, is the Urborg Tomb Yawgmoth and Eye of Ugin is a pretty sweet combo, but it is only netting up 1 mana with the Eye of Ugin, which is significant, but I don't know if it's that significant to, and it also can make your Eldrazi Temples tap for black. But I don't know if it's that significant to really rule out the other colors of being viable options. So there's also the counter the spell devoid guy. Let's just look at all the processors that we have an option with. There's a nullifier I think is very interesting in Modern. Again, the Eye of Ugin can add 2 mana to your mana pool. The black and blue, so turn 3 you could actually counter a spell. You have to return 2 cards again, so it's like the Blight Herder. You do have to have, it's not as easy with just like 1 Relic of Progenitus exiling 1 fetch land. They do have to have 2 cards exiled, but a flash flying 2/3 that can counter a spell is not bad. Almost feels Cryptic Command-ish. You're spending the same amount of mana and getting 2 options. You're getting a 2/3 flyer and countering a spell. The other processors, the Strangler is in this particular deck. There is Processor Assault, which is 5 damage to a creature if you return a card. I don't think this is better than just like Lightning Bolt, or in this case, like a Dismember. Having access to a Dismember is just probably better than the Processor's Assault. But there is some Mercstrider. You may put a card, if you do, you can return a creature's owner's hand. I think Mercstrider is actually kind of cool in Modern. The bounce type effect is pretty powerful. If this had Flash on it, I guess it would be a lot more powerful with being able to like return a Splinter Twin. It's being enchanted. But it's also not bad against a lot of decks that are trying to, like, even throwing back a Tarmogoyf and setting it back a turn doesn't seem bad in the deck. And there is a few other blue Eldrazi's that I was mentioning earlier I think that are worthwhile of at least just seeing how well they work. I mean, as standard it's too much. 5 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana. But the Eldrazi Temple, especially when you get like 2 of these out, and the Eye of Ugin can be able to tutor up specifics, these are some pretty sweet interactions in Modern. So anyway, let me know what you'd put in this deck. We'll check out. Maybe I'll play this for next week. I have a Budget Storm deck coming up for playing on a budget. We'll revisit the Standard. Once Standard gets a little more interesting, a little bit about that. I tried to play Standard for last week's playing on budget, and then just face Jeskai Black like literally every time. And for this week's episode of playing on a budget. With a Standard Brew. Actually, the Standard Brew is very similar to this. I didn't even think about Blight Herder, but it did have like a Wasteland Strangler it was a mono black control, but went up against Jeskai Black for 5 games in a row, and it was one of those ones where a turn 2 Jace shut me down every game. So I'm gonna wait till Standard with the Oath of the Gatewatch gets a little more interesting before really checking out a lot of playing on a budget brews. It's very hard to build a budget deck in Standard at the moment, with every deck really wanting to play multiple colors and then wanting to use fetch lands, and 4 fetch lands already puts you at or above our $100 set budget, and it's just incredibly hard right now to brew. So I hope you enjoy Modern. I think it's a very open format. There are plenty of decks you can build for budget, especially with the mana base being one of the more expensive parts in Modern, but having so many options to more budget-based mana with what we call check lands or pain lands, or even now with the battle lands that are all viable options in Modern. I hope you enjoyed these matchups. This has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.